everybody. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to be talking about the railroads of the Old West. So for anybody who is new here, we are Southwest Adventure Tours. We do small group departures all over, mostly the Western U.S. now. We started in the Southwest. We've kind of grown to the entire West, all the way to Alaska and Hawaii. Small group meaning 12 to 14 people or less. And then we travel in these really nice Mercedes-Benz Sprinter vans. So it's sort of a luxury option as opposed to like a motor coach. But what's really cool on this one is, yes, you're traveling in the van to get to place, but you're also traveling on these really epic historic trains through Colorado and a little bit of New Mexico. So this one's a little bit different than a lot of our other trips. And I've heard amazing things, people saying this is their favorite one because it's so unique. So we really try to give people a different way to see things. And one way to do that is by train, because you're going to get views that you cannot get anywhere else because the train tracks cut right through the mountains on a lot of these. So we've put together this really epic 7-day, 6-night, old-fashioned train tour through the mountains. It goes, like I said, a little bit into New Mexico, but it's mostly through Colorado, through the different mountain ranges in there. And I'm going to kind of talk you through day by day what the itinerary is. And then, like I said, if you have any questions at the end, we can go over that. We can talk about how we can work together. If you have any questions on other tours, we can get into that as well. But I'm going to break down the itinerary day by day. So day one, everyone arrives in Denver, and then you're basically making your way to your hotel downtown on your own. That could be through Uber, through Lyft, through a taxi. There is also public transportation to get you to Union Station, which is walking distance to the hotel. So if you have people that don't want to take the Uber or Lyft, or they just want an additional little train ride, they can take that public transportation. Now, what's really cool is the hotel is walking distance to so many things. So the guide will be at the hotel to check everybody in, but then the guests really have that evening to kind of explore. They're right near 16th Street. I live outside of Denver, so I looked it up and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a fantastic area. There's a really cool place called Urban Putt that's like indoor putt-putt. That's all Colorado themed. Really good restaurants and breweries and things like that. So they'll have the first evening on their own. They can talk to the guide, they can talk to the front desk, or they can ask us if they want any suggestions, but there's plenty to do around there. So then day two, you'll be traveling to Colorado Springs, which is about an hour or so to get there, and then doing the COG Railway. Now, this is such a cool railway. It goes to the top of Pikes Peak. One thing I did want to say, obviously Pikes Peak is over 14,000 feet. And one question that we get a lot is about altitude on this. So if you have anyone concerned about altitude, my suggestion would be if people wanted to do like a pre-night in Denver, just to help with that transition, that could be good as well. I haven't had issues, some people do, but if it's a concern of any clients, then that would be a good suggestion, would be to stay that pre-night in Denver so that they can give themselves some time to acclimate. But this is a great way up Pikes Peak. You don't have to drive the scary road. You don't have to do the crazy hike. You take this really cool COG Railway all the way to the top. And then at the top, there's this visitor center that has the Summit Mountain House, and they are famous for their donuts because it's the only place in the world you can get donuts made at that altitude. So the water level's different, the air is different, and they're very unique. So I always suggest to people to get the donuts at the top of the Pikes Peak COG Railway. So then after that, there's a little bit of time in Manitou Springs. It's this really cute downtown historic area. And then the guests will be on their way to Canyon City for the evening. So then day three, they do Royal Gorge Railway. Now, what's really cool about this one is they're going to be doing a catered breakfast, and they're staying in the Vista Dome car. So they're going to have these panoramic views. It's one of those glass dome cars. We've changed it up a little bit this year. We've upgraded the class that people will be sitting in without changing the price, which is great. So we've done those upgrades. The food on this train is fantastic. I actually did this one for Mother's Day, and it was wonderful. And you can also walk around. So this little outside area here, you can see people standing around. You can walk out. You can take in the views from outdoors. and you basically travel along this river, and it's really scenic, and you cross under the Royal Gorge Bridge, which is really fun. And this day is packed because in the afternoon, we actually added the Leadville train, which I actually didn't know anything about this one. I didn't even know Leadville had a train, but Leadville is this gorgeous little historic mountain town over 10,000 feet. And when you get to the downtown, you're kind of surrounded by the tops of like 13, 14ers. So you're close to the top of all these mountain ranges, and this Leadville Railroad goes through them. So you're going to get really, really epic views along the way. And then that day finishes by going over to Alamosa, which is near the Great Sand Dunes National Park, and then you'll overnight there. So the next day, we were talking about this one before people jumped on, but the Cumbre and Toltec Scenic Railroad, again, we've upgraded the cars, so clients will be staying in the deluxe cars. It goes 64 miles from Antonino to Chama. And along the way, they'll stop, they'll have this really nice lunch, and then they get back on the train. And it basically zigzags through Colorado and New Mexico with all sorts of changing scenery and views and things like that along the way. And then that night, you'll be taken to Durango. Durango is one of my favorite mountain towns. Very, very walkable, really good food, really good restaurants and shops. It's very historic. I feel like I'm going to say that a million times because most of these towns are old mining towns, so they are very historic, but it's a very cute town for guests to have some time to explore that evening. The next day is the Crown Jewel. So this is my all-time favorite excursion that I've ever been on. If you have anybody that loves trains, this is like the bucket list. They have to do this one. The Durango and Silverton Railroad, it cuts through the San Juan Mountains and it goes up to Silverton. I'm going to pop out of this for a minute because I had to find a photo that really shows the best part of this train. So you're on this train and you come around this bend and it is wild. You can see that it, has this drop off, but it's not really scary, but it has this drop off and you get these stunning views and you follow the Animas River the entire way up to Silverton. Now, when you get to Silverton, you've got some time there for lunch. Oops, sorry. Pop back over to that one. That's another old historic mining town that is located at a high elevation. So you're surrounded by these mountain peaks that are, giant 14ers, 13ers, really good restaurants and some time to spend there. And then you'll be taken to Ouray. And Ouray is considered the Switzerland of America. So think instead of being surrounded by the tops of these mountains, you are surrounded as if you're in like Switzerland when you're there. And that again is a very historic town. It's got these cute little like saloon type places that still exist there. There's Ouray Hot Springs. And everyone's going to do a 3-hour Jeep ride. Now that area is famous for two things, one being ice climbing and one being Jeep rides. The Jeep rides there are incredible. They take you into the mountains onto some back roads. I actually did my honeymoon there. It is absolutely gorgeous. So then everyone will overnight in Ouray, which is something that we added in as well. So they'll have a little bit of time on their own to explore that night as well. And then on day 6, you're working your way back to Denver, but along the way, so you're going through the Rocky Mountains. It's this gorgeous drive the whole way. And then you do the Georgetown Loop Railroad. And you can see in this photo here, this is the Devil's Gate Bridge. It's sort of the highlight on that railroad. And these are the views. So you'll get those incredible views as you work your way through the mountains. After that, it ends with a historic silver mine. So after going to all these incredible mining towns, everyone will actually get to go into Lebanon Silver Mine. You drop down about 500 feet, you explore some tunnels, you'll learn about the mining life, and then it ends with this tour of these historic buildings as well. And then from there, you just head back to Denver, and then you get dropped off at the hotel there by the airport. And that is pretty much it. I know I kind of flew through that, but I really wanted to leave it open for questions on this one. And Here are some other advantages of working with us. So when it comes to these tours, like I said, they are small group tours. So you're going to get that white glove support. You know, we make sure that everybody feels taken care of from the beginning to the end. They get these documents. They can call us with questions. We have good customer service. And any of our small group tours, or really anything in the US that you can think of, we can turn into like a custom private trip. We can turn it into a self-drive itinerary. I have a lot of people that I will put onto these train trips if they're doing like just a road trip, because they are so incredible. And we have a 3-day turnaround time when it comes to creating anything custom as well. So if you have somebody that really likes the idea of trains, but maybe doesn't want to spend 6 days on trains, we can absolutely put that together for them as well. And then we have competitive commissions for all of you as well. So that ranges from 10 to 14% based on how much you book with us. So we have 10% on any of our small group trips, any of our custom private trips, and any of our self-drive. And then the more you book with us, the higher that commission rate goes up as well. So here's our email and our phone number. I heard some dinging, but I can't see you guys because I'm looking at the presentation. So I will leave that up for just a minute in case anyone wants to write it down. But Matt, were there questions or just people joining?
Yeah, we got a few questions. How bumpy is the Jeep ride?
This, I would say moderate. I know it's not Black Bear. Black Bear Pass is like the scariest one. This one is not that. What is it? I can't think of the name of it. It goes through a different pass. So it's not extreme. It's more for the views than anything.
What is included on the trains as far as drinks and food besides the breakfasts and brunches?
Yeah, so on that, let's see. So the train rides that have the meals are going to be the Royal Gorge, where you have breakfast, and then the Cumbrae and Toltec Railroad, that includes lunch. Now, there are some other meals included on the trip in general. So this includes 6 breakfasts. So basically every hotel has a continental breakfast, 4 lunches total. So obviously the one on the train ride, and then 3 other lunches, and then 1 dinner as well. Other than that, I know most of the trains offer food and drinks. I know Durango, Silverton, and Royal Gorge do for sure. Pikes Peak, I'm not sure. That's a pretty short train ride. The Cumbrae and Toltec, and I believe Georgetown, I think they all have options to purchase food and drinks as well. Can we add on hotels with you, or something we have to do on our own? You can absolutely add on hotels, especially like the pre-night. Like I said, that's a really good option for people that are worried about that altitude. We can set that up for you and add that on. If it's something that you do on your own, just let us know and we'll make sure that we include that on our side so that we know what's going on with the guest as well. Well, like I said, I live in Colorado. I love these trains. I've done, let's see, the Royal Gorge. Like I said, I did a Mother's Day. Durango Silverton is my all-time favorite. If you ever have guests that do it as a self-driver custom, we can also upgrade the class on those. The group trip, they're pretty much set because we get blocks of tickets. But if you had somebody that wants a more luxurious experience, we could do, the parlor car on the Durango. We can upgrade all the classes on the trains. I actually had a couple that just did that for their anniversary, and she surprised him because he loved trains, and they did, first class in every train, the glass dome, all of that sort of stuff. And that's a great option if you have some more luxury clients. And then when it comes to custom private and self-drive, we can also upgrade any hotels or experiences or add things on where they could, things like that. So if somebody didn't want to do the Jeep ride, we could, modify that as well. I believe even with this one, if somebody really was like against the Jeep ride, they didn't want to do it, or they had a reason not to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but I believe we could just have them stay in town and enjoy and explore Ouray as well. I don't think the price would change, but they have the option to sit that out if they would like.
Absolutely. Yes.
Take the hot springs, the more relaxing afternoon.
Is this suitable for all ages?
So our small group tours are going to be 12 and up. That being said, if we can turn it into a custom, we could turn it into a self-drive. This is actually a great one to do as a self-drive because they're on so many train trips. So granted, they would need the rental car portion of it, but if you had a family that wanted to do it, that's probably what I would suggest. But for the group trip, 12 and up, even train trips, I think are just great with kids because I don't know, they can move a little bit more. The Georgetown on Mother's Day was great. My toddler can be free and I can sit back and enjoy breakfast.
And then the last question we've got there is tipping on board.
Not unless you were to purchase food or drinks. It's not really necessary. Sometimes they have like guides, like Durango. I was in the parlor car, so it was a different experience, but the person is sort of your server and your tour guide, and they're giving a lot of information. So if you feel inclined to tip at that point, you absolutely can. The one thing we don't include gratuity on is going to be your guide. So the person that's with you on the small group the entire way, driving the van, giving you the information in between the train trips, we don't include gratuity for them. So the suggested on that is usually 20 to 25 a day per person, just for their entire experience. But in terms of the train trips, no, it's not necessary. But also feel free if you guys have questions about any of our other small group tours, how we work together for custom private or self-drive or anything like that. I'm here. I'm happy to answer those questions as well. I work with a lot of advisors creating those custom private and the self-drive. We do a really great job. We do everything in the US and Canada when it comes to that. Our expertise is still the national parks in the Western US, but we can do some more with that. I've done, Napa wine, we've done New York City Christmas. So we have some other really unique things that we can do when it comes to custom private and self-drive. I'm obviously passionate about Colorado. So I love to do different things in Colorado. I have people, I have a couple right now that's doing just Colorado Springs. So we're doing the Pikes Peak Cog Railway and the Georgetown Loop that are on this train trip, but doing it as a self-drive and upgrading their experiences on that. So we really do have a lot of options to work with people, but I think trains is such a unique way to travel. Like I said, you just get views that you're just not going to get anywhere else. And you can sit back and relax and you're not driving and you're not, stuffed in a car or anything like that. You can just really sit back and truly enjoy the experience. And it's not, I love Amtrak. There's nothing wrong with Amtrak, but it's not sitting on an Amtrak. Like these are really, really cool historic steam engine trains and taking you up through the mountains and stuff. So I never thought I was a train person until I went on some of these experiences, and they really are a really cool way to travel. And you're getting to these mountain towns that you're just not going to see otherwise. Like I said, Leadville, I think there's 1,000 people there, and it's so high in elevation that it's not a place that many people go unless you're seeking that out. So to get to go on a train through those mountains is a really cool experience.
Another part of the tour too is seasonal. So we do June through I just had it up, September. So depending on the season, you can have a totally different experience. If you're really into those high alpine fall colors, I would suggest a fall trip. If you're wanting to see that beautiful Rocky Mountain green hills, green alpine lake, the trees and the lakes, then I would suggest your customers take our earlier trip, because this one changes, and it changes rapidly depending on weather, depending on rain, snow. So this one has a lot of uniqueness to it as far as environment as well.
Absolutely. June, it's like super green in the hills. If anyone asks me my suggestion on these, I love September. The fall colors going through the San Juan Mountains are amazing, but you really can't go wrong. I mean, Matt's absolutely correct that you're just going to get a different experience in the summer as you will the fall. And then if you customize it, we have some other options too. Durango does a winter train. It's a very short train because it can't go through a lot of the same areas, but that's part of the reason it's seasonal, is because a lot of these trains just don't run in the winter. But, even right now, I mean, in Colorado, I think most of them are doing it as a Polar Express right now. So that's a really nice option if people want the winter experience. The Georgetown, the Durango, and I think one of the other ones does, and the Royal Gorge. They all turn into like the Polar Express, and it's a winter wonderland. So, you know, this tour runs what, June through September, you said? Yeah,
Yep.
June through September. And then outside of that, we can customize things.
And then in 2027, we go June through October. So we've purchased some more dates going into October of 2027.
Which the nice thing about that, I believe we get, is it a different price in October? No, it's the same price. I didn't know if it was off-season pricing for that. I would still suggest September. September is just the best. September and June in Colorado are like, oh. But I'm biased.
Any other questions or comments before we get to our big winner? $50 gift card. You ready? Last time for questions. I don't have a drum roll, so I'm just faking it. All right. Hey, Amy Schwartz. Your name got picked out, so I'm going to be emailing you for your shipping address, and I'll send you a $50 gift card.
Awesome. I'm going to pop our link for the tour. I know it was already included in the original email, and you'll get, I'm sure, a follow-up too, but I wanted that to be up there. So if you guys want to look at the pricing on it, look at, you know, a more detailed breakdown of anything. And then at the end on that last slide, like we said, it's info@Southwest Adventure Tours. If you guys have any questions, or if you're going through it and you think of something that you wish you'd asked in this, you can always reach out and we can give you more information on that as well. All right. Well, if that's it, thank you guys for attending. We appreciate it.